Hey everyone, welcome back. I have Joe Farrell from Strive for 25, and today we're going to go over some prices in the areas that we live in. I did this the other day with Sierra Smith, and it was pretty interesting to see the cost of things in different markets. So Sierra was in Tennessee, I'm in Honolulu, Hawaii, and Joe Farrell, where are you at?
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri, bring it.
All right, so I'm interested to see how this plays out because I would think you and Sierra's prices would probably be very similar. So like again, we didn't go to any like discount store like Costco, Sam's Club. We went to kind of our neighborhood supermarkets in our area. So why don't you start off, Joe? What do you want to start off with first?
Yeah, so I just kind of went around my grocery store. So I did it in this order. So I got a little, and sticker price was $1.99, and it's actually on sale for $1.79 for whatever reason. And then I got to the beef section, $4.49 a pound for just your regular ground beef. And then I got to the milk section, $3.35 for a gallon of milk. And then the egg section, we in our household we get the cage-free brown eggs, and we do it through shipped, or I can't think of what the name of the service is, but through either Target or the local grocery store, which is either Schnucks or Deerberg's here in St. Louis. So neither of us are really in the store shopping typically. So I haven't looked at these things in a while personally, but eggs cage free for a dozen $4.99 versus the regular sticker, not cage free $1.49. I had no idea that was that big of a difference.
Wow, yeah, that's a huge difference, man.
And then gas, 366.
Oh, okay. All right. For some reason, I thought it was lower, all the prices that you sent me, but I guess Tennessee seems like it might be actually a little bit lower than Missouri or Missouri where you're at. But let's see. So
Okay.
bread in Tennessee, Sierra got 3.49, and in Hawaii it
Wait,
was about
their bread was 3.49.
yeah.
Okay.
And then in Hawaii we're looking at about 4.79 for a loaf
Okay.
of bread.
Okay.
So, but I think the biggest one was eggs. So, in Tennessee, it was 3.29 for a dozen eggs, and in Hawaii, we're looking at 5.99 to maybe about $7. Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know. Do you eat a lot of eggs?
We
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Um, there's this brand that we get from Costco that it's like omelet with cheese in the middle and it's frozen. And so for the kiddos, throw it in the microwave, put it on their plate, and they eat it for breakfast,
Is that real
amongst other
egg?
things.
Is that real eggs still?
It's from Costco. It's got to be real.
No, but yeah, I mean, I was I was so interested to see what the cost of, living in paradise is, and it's kind of mind-blowing to see what the price differences are. And like you're saying, what was your gas again, you said?
366.
Three six. So in Tennessee it was 3.49, and in Hawaii you're looking at about 4.70 for gas.
It's like
That's
25-30% markup.
yeah, and that's low right now. I mean, recently we were in the fives for a long time. So I
Yeah.
think that's what, you know, they're talking about inflation is coming down and the economy is still strong. But when I look around, I see, people spending double on groceries and even whatever the same type of things that I used to buy, a couple years ago. I mean, I'm probably spending close to double as far as groceries. I mean, yeah, my son's a little bit older, so maybe he's eating a little bit more, but other than that, I mean, cost of everything has gone up quite a bit.
It's so true. I mean, like the little stuff, the small stuff, just pay $4 or $5 for something and now it's $8. Like it doesn't really matter. Like you don't think about it. Just, boom, you just keep swiping, 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 you know?
Yeah, you don't. So the funny thing is, Sierra, she actually, the husband actually has, I guess, a spreadsheet of when they were budgeting back in college, like grocery prices. So she's gonna look for that and kind of break that down and see how far it's come since, I think she said about maybe 7 to 10 years ago.
Yeah, I definitely would want to see that. That's cool. Yeah, kind of going through that, like I started thinking to myself, yeah, I wish I had some of that old data to be able to kind of see exactly what the prices are. Because like kind of the egg example, right? Like, okay, cage free, not cage free, like there's a difference. If you go get bread, is it wheat bread? Is it white bread? Is it whole grain? Like you have different variations. So like to be able to say, hey, this brand, exact same thing 2 years ago, 4 years ago was this price, and like be able to compare it over time, like that would be interesting to be able to see like the actual changes in cost because you know we don't even think about it. It's like, okay, well, that thing's way expensive, so maybe I'll just adjust down to the lower brand, or like maybe the size is smaller because I'm seeing so many different brands. Like, okay, I used to get 12 ounces for X price, and now they're giving you the same price, but it's like 7 ounces in their can or their jar. It's like all these things are changing and adjusting. It's hard to really keep track of what's what anymore.
And you don't realize it. Like the packaging is the same, so it's like less inside, but the box is the same size, and you think you're getting the same amount, but it's less for less amount but more price. But I think the interesting thing too is we're trying to help people reach financial freedom and things like that, but that this is also maybe kind of related to improving your health and whatnot, right? Because if you are I guess financially free or doing well financially, you don't have to cut costs and maybe the quality of foods you purchase or groceries and vegetables, like you're saying, organic and whatnot. You can purchase these things and not really worry about the sticker price.
Totally. And it's just it's frustrating because you have all these different media outlets and different studies, and there's so many things. It's hard to really know what's what in terms of like what the promotions are. Organic, well, what does it actually mean? Is it really healthier for you, or is it just a marketing ploy? It's like it's hard to really know what's what anymore, and that's the frustrating thing.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's even at the firehouse, there's certain guys on certain diets, and it makes it challenging today because everyone has different eating habits, and you know, I hate to say it, but it is more expensive, buying like organic or vegan things typically. So, like I said, if you get your finances in order, then these type of decisions, doesn't really play too much of a factor because you can purchase the things that you want to have as far as eating. And I think that kind of also goes back to I don't know if you saw my episode with Hugo Alonso from Stay Winning podcast, but we kind of talked about like what control things that you have control over, right? Like you can't really control the prices of groceries. I mean, you can shop at maybe different locations, but as far as the price tags, right, you really don't have too much control over what these things are going to be priced at. So what you have control over is generating more income or side hustle or how you're investing.
That's so true. I mean, from his perspective, did he give any examples of things that people are doing or strategies to increase income? Did he get into
He
that?
he did, but he also definitely was talking about like you have way more control than you think. Like you can make a decision on what job you take or what area you live in, right? Like maybe certain areas provide more job opportunities, but you have a lot of decisions or a lot of control over these type of things. Whereas, like like you're saying, that the prices of certain things or certain tax the rich or certain regulations like policies, you really don't have too much control over changing that. What you do have control over is like like you're talking about, do I want to start this side hustle or do I want to open up an LLC so I have a separate entity to kind of build business credit or different things to kind of help you generate more income.
Yeah, that makes me think of one of the comments on your Twitter post. Um, and somebody asked what the stair step method was. I'm trying to think who it was. It was Chad Money Matters.
Oh yeah.
And no, that was, I'm sorry, that was the eggs and stuff. Well, shoot, audit audit the DTCC, audit the DTCC.
Oh well, why don't you explain the stair step method then?
Yeah. So I, Mark, I reposted or requoted your video with one of our don't put all your eggs in one basket 401k thing, and audit the DTCC, which DTCC is the Deposit Trust Clearing Corporation, which has to do with stocks and whatever. So that gentleman or woman and I have some things in common because we have a certain couple stocks that we follow, and I'll leave that there. But he asked, "What is the stair step method?" So I linked the Amazon book. It's free on Kindle if you have unlimited, whatever. And he said, "I don't have that, so give me the 2 or 3 sentence synopsis." Cool. I just told him, "Hey, you know what? You go buy a house at an entry level period or price point. You live there for a couple of years. You save up. You buy the next one for a higher price point. Let's say the first one was 150, second one was 250. Turn the old one to a rental. And if you do that a couple more times over, say, 8 years, and 150, 250, 350, 450, then you have acquired 3 rental properties. And then if you can just cover your payment and expenses with your rents, cool. Then you fast forward the clock 20, 30 years and you've got 3 rentals pretty much paid off. And that's a way to be able to, build a multi-million-dollar portfolio, just stair stepping your way up using low down payment loans. And the reason why I bring it up because his comment was you should have started in the 90s. And I wasn't sure if he meant like started talking about it, like promoting it in the 90s, or like started building your portfolio in the 90s. But either way, it's like, okay, that's cool. Like I'm insinuating that he means that doesn't work anymore. You should have started a long time ago. And my comment was, well, it may not work for everybody and it may not work in every market, or it may not work for what someone thinks is entry level or what they want. But I'm seeing people do it in many different markets, but you have to be creative in finding the right entry point because the first one you purchase is going to dictate what happens in the next one. So if you buy a property that's 450, that's 3 beds and 2 baths, and then the next one would be a slightly bigger property of 4 beds and 3 baths, and what's that price? If maybe it's 550, it may be more challenging to get into the next property, more cash you need. So if you start at the lower level, that makes sense. You don't want to get into a risky area, but the right area that makes sense at the right lower entry point, then it's easier to get into the next situation. Because if you go from a 2 bed, 1 bath, then getting into a 3 bed, 2 bath is not as challenging of a barrier to entry in some markets. So being very intentional of how you scale in. And I was just talking to a client, the last couple of days, and they were looking to purchase a $54,000 property on the outskirts of St. Louis County. That's a fix and flip kind of a scenario, but they're going to buy it as a primary, do a renovation loan, put 30K into it, and it's going to be worth 180K when all said and done. And it's not like the perfect property, but they're not going to live there forever. So it's a great entry level for this method. So being very intentional, like you were saying, that's what I'm seeing people that are using the tools, the lending tools in the system to game the system, so to speak.
Yeah, and like I said, it just comes back to, controlling the things that you have control over. Like you're saying, maybe you cannot purchase that dream home as your first purchase, but you have other things that you can control, like you're saying, start off with an entry level or a fix and flip and work your way up. Or even like in Honolulu, Hawaii, prices, median single family homes are, basically $1 million. And sometimes that's a difficult entry point. And you can't control what the prices of the homes are, but you can control where you purchase or where you invest and what you do with your money. So like you're saying, these people are looking at the outskirts of St. Louis on a property that's a fix and flip, and there's tons of these properties out there, but you have control and you have to go look for them and get around people that are doing it. And I think that's kind of the thing is we have more control than we realize, but a lot of times we're looking at like the sticker price, like we're talking about groceries earlier. And it's easy to complain like what the cost is in your area that you live, but yet you really can't control that, right? But you can control other things to kind of lessen the burden of what these things cost.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think the more that we talk about this stuff, the more hopefully raises the awareness and consciousness of the whole, and just not to be satisfied. And you know, I was kind of rewatching one of the episodes that we had talking about the 401k stuff, and it's like, and looking at some of their content, and it's like, okay, yeah, 401k, it's not the end all be all. It's not, the savior. It's not going to be enough, right? And so like, I've been kind of trashing the 401k, right? Because I think that there's another opportunity to be able to build wealth in other ways. And it's not just the 401k that's good or bad. I mean, it's good and bad, right? Or good and a curse, the gift and the curse kind of a thing. But it's like you can't have, you know, the shadow without the light. You can't have the darkness without the light. You have the good and the bad, and sometimes you need both of them to be able to make things operate. If you're in a comfort zone, right? Like, are you going to be compelled or forced to go be better or learn a new skill or increase income or do these other things? Like sometimes you have to have those pains to be able to push yourself to the next level. And so, whether it's a 401k or cost of groceries or whatever it is, like sometimes you have to have those struggles and pains to be able to push to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you bring up the 401k one. Somebody else, commented they call it the 401 chaos. And I was like, oh, I like that. But I think the one that I recently posted is gonna maybe trigger a lot of people because I think that's it's the big topic I think that a lot of people don't agree on or see it from different viewpoints is the employer match actually free money? And I think that's the one. And like you're talking about getting into a comfort zone or whatnot, and sometimes I think that employer match gets people comfortable where they're at, and they do see it as free money. And I get it is free money, but like you mentioned, it's coming from somewhere in a sense, and sometimes maybe it's handcuffing you to this company that you work for, or like you're saying, if you can get a greater salary somewhere else, maybe not getting an employer match, but you're getting more money up front to invest on your own, that might be more beneficial.
Yeah, because I think you also mentioned too that like you have a vesting, right? Like, maybe it's one, two, three, just you scale in. It's like, well, if you're only there for 2 years, how much is that match actually worth?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I think that's the thing, right? People, it's called, employer match free. And they look at it and they get super comfortable and they're like, oh, I got to put this money in. And now you're kind of trapped and you just kind of fall down this path, I think. And I think that's what I have issues with is it kind of locks you in and you may miss out on other opportunities, I think.
okay, so maybe this isn't the right time or space to ask this question to you, but I'm going to ask it, and you can edit it out if you don't want it to be included. So you've got your daytime job as a firefighter. You're a realtor, so you help people buy and sell houses. You're doing short-term rental management.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got three different things that you have that you're spending time on, and obviously there's only so much time in the day, right? So from a time standpoint versus kind of like a percentage of income standpoint, kind of how would you outline some of the percentages of income that you have coming in versus the time you put into it?
Well, not to get myself in trouble or anything, but I definitely, and I've talked about it. I'm not, my passion for firefighting is not there as much as when I first came in the department. I still love it. I still enjoy the job. It's just, we grow, and I'm trying to pursue something else and grow something else. I would say, I mean, a lot of my time is still on the fire side just because you're there 24 hours. We're doing a lot of things, calls, training. However, any downtime I have, I mean, I've made that decision to where I don't goof around as much with the other guys at the station when they're playing pickleball or playing Pokemon Go on their phones together or what. I'm My downtime is I'm either editing videos, making content, doing real estate stuff, and that's kind of the decision I made. And yeah, we all have 24 hours in a day, and it's kind of you just got to make those decisions that what you're going to spend your time on. So any downtime, and people probably see it in the background of some of the videos I've been doing. I'm doing it in my downtime at the firehouse, in the weight room, and I'm just trying to accommodate you folks who are on different time zones and whenever we can schedule these calls. And I'm just doing it whenever I can. If I got to do it in my car, I'll do it in my car, but it's just finding that time. And, for me, it's kind of like a vision down the road where I'm trying to build something to where when I do retire early, hopefully that, it's kind of running on its own in a sense.
That's awesome. Yeah, like the content part of it, right? Like there's this, we're both pretty busy, have full-time jobs and families and whatnot. So it's like the time it takes to edit a video and to making sure that it's good and all that stuff. Sometimes like I'm finding myself more focused on the process and not so much the quality, unfortunately. It's like I'm just trying to get it up because I can't justify spending an extra 30 more minutes on this thing when I know I have a million other things to do that's going to, be more important to my clients and my family. So it's just like content, I'm going to get it out there. And I kind of go back to a Joe Rogan, someone talking about Joe Rogan. And it's like, do you think Joe Rogan, spent 80% of his time on, the captions and then the graphics and the sound effects and all? No, he just put out good content that people wanted to listen to over and over and over and over. Now his journey and how many people are going to be a Joe Rogan? Like, okay, I got it. Not everyone's going to be a Joe Rogan, but just putting out good content that's connecting with your audience over and over and over and over again. People value that, and you're going to attract the right audience too, not just focused on the glitz and the glam of the content.
Oh yeah, and I think it's not even, you know, connecting with your audience so much. I think it's more just finding a group of people that have the same interests like you, Sierra, Hugo, and just willing to come on and talk weekly about different things. And I think we all enjoy it, and it's kind of fun, breaking out of the norm of maybe running around with our kids and going grocery shopping and what. But it's just a chance to kind of sit down and talk with other people that are kind of headed down this same path. So I think that's actually what makes it kind of fun and interesting.
Totally. You know, Selfishly, like I want to hear more about your stuff, your Pittsburgh stuff. Like, how's it going? I know you've been doing it for a number of years now, but like, how's it going? What's new? What's different? What's challenging? So like, just an extra thing to think about in the back of your brain. Like, what you did is pretty remarkable in such a short period of time. I want to hear more about that. I'm sure other people do too.
Yeah, we can talk about that next week. I mean, I mean, honestly, the market is definitely different, and there's not as many deals out there. There is deals to be found. It's more, I'm just focused more on building this kind of social media, real estate kind of education, I guess you want to call it, but kind of focus on the managing of the short-term rentals has been very time consuming, kind of getting it off the ground. So that could be another story. I mean,
Yeah.
checking in and yeah, they went to the wrong elevator again, and they're like panicking. I can't find the keys, and yeah, so it's been interesting.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but before we wrap up, let's kind of just touch on. So the big reason why I want to talk about different prices too is just so that people can see kind of sometimes what you're paying for as far as living in the certain area that you do. And I try to tell a lot of the younger guys that if there's nothing really tying you to Hawaii or whatnot, like there's a lot of opportunities in other areas, and the cost of living is so much lower, and it's not like you're gonna have to live there the rest of your life. I mean, you may move there and you may love it, but a lot of times that's how you can build your wealth a lot quicker, and then come back to Hawaii and buy your dream home and whatnot.
yeah, it's so true. So true. I mean, like I use the term free agent. It's like if you got a job that you can work remotely or a job that you can pick up and, find a place, find a company to work at right away. Like especially if you work remotely, you can live anywhere you want, buy anywhere you want to live, buy anywhere you want to buy, and it doesn't matter from a lending standpoint. And go pick and choose the right market, the right area, and make it happen. And like I've got a couple people that I know that have done this that they bought multi-families in different cities over a span of years, and they kind of leverage the guidelines to be able to use the FHA 3.5% down and do it multiple times. And like one of the key limitations is that if you want to get the next FHA loan, you have to have 25% equity in the previous one to be able to do it again if you're buying in a different city over 50 miles away. So, uh, you can't get to that next one if you don't get to the first one and let time start ticking, for you and get that time going. So,
Yeah, you made a good point there too. I think it's scary, the first one, the first purchase, but when you look back on it, you know, purchasing a property is probably the easiest part of the whole process. Once you get that first one, now, you're trying to figure out taxes and, maybe entity structure and how to get the next one and financing. But if you don't get that first one, then you don't realize what next steps is down the road. And I think, you made a good point that, getting that first one, getting your foot in the door, getting on the property ladder, kind of makes you learn quick. Once you get that one, now you're trying to learn all these other things in the same time.
Yep, totally forces you to figure it out. That's
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, this was fun, man. Yeah, I was very interested to see the prices in Misery, as you call it, and maybe I won't move there now, um, but
We'll always have a space for you here. Always have a space for you.
yeah. Well, before we go to what the area that you live, I mean, would you consider it like a very populated area, or is it kind of on the outskirts, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in kind of the heart of the county. So
Okay.
like you have St. Louis City and then county, and like I'm like right in the middle.
Oh, okay. Okay, so your price is okay. Your price, yeah. Well, definitely cheaper over there.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think the average median price of houses in St. Louis is probably like 280, 300K.
280. It's like a bathroom here.
It's a sink. It's a double sink in your bathroom.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, we'll talk next week. We'll come up with something else again. But yeah, check all the like the YouTube and because some people have been commenting about prices. I think so. It's going to be interesting to see what in their markets wherever they're living, what grocery prices might cost.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right.
Check out
Cool, man.
YouTube. All right.
Thanks, man. All right.
Talk soon.